Starcraft coming out once more, we're actually being met with a responsive and Azuri. This will be the first Katars that I've seen, at least that we've casted so far in any of our regional blocks. And I think having Katars versus Blasters might be a really interesting response, similar to how we saw Gameplayer just play Gauntlets versus Riot.
Now, South America is a region where you're going to see a lot of the Katars just come out, just because it's like it's a comfort weapon for them, right? We've seen a lot of that kind of Katars in top 8. We've seen Fiend pull out Katars as well. There's a lot of people able to play Katars at a high level here, and they make it look good into every single weapon, into matchups that you wouldn't even expect them to want to play it into. And now, this is an interesting head-to-head, something that we want to point out, and something that we were talking about earlier that is scary. Kaito just got that first stock off, and the PR gap is not immense. It's not too big. It's just 11 and 25, right? But you have to remember that Kaito doesn't have a single tournament played before 2023. This is what could be considered a relatively new player, at least to the competitive scene, and he's taking on a veteran here. Someone with 7K earnings, PR 11, multiple top 8s, right? We're seeing a silver and bronze medal, and that was what I was talking about. You don't know if any of these players are a threat or good till they're in the lobby piecing up someone that you already know.
It kind of goes to what we were saying in the pre-show, that a lot of South America, at least at this point in the tournament, is super 50-50. Because we don't know what to expect for some of these players, especially the newer ones. Ray, though, is able to confirm that first stock, brings things to a near even stock count. That first stock, though, coming out from Kaito was a double recovery off of the Katars. Ray has to make sure they can be super careful in the air. And with Blasters, you have the option of playing that grounded gameplay or going for the aerial setups. But if you're being read into, you're losing half of that momentum if you're being countered by, Katar recoveries every single time. Kaito's going to go for the intro, though. Great string setup.
An extremely good job of evening up this game, all things considered. Starting off at the back foot there, he had a lot of really nice blaster strings. That's a nice downlight into the end sig. The downlight was actually GC, so he did go back down onto the ground and just get the last little grounded touch there to get the end sig off, and that was really good. So now Kaito is gonna have to find the knockout here with the Katars in hand, so that he's not playing completely on a back foot here. Rayzigher hasn't found anything yet to tag on damage on the stock. The NSIG grounded is gonna knock out.
No,
that's an option.
Way.
That's definitely an option for sure.
And that meant Ray had the full extent of that second stock the entire time. So much damage had to be outputted there. And now it's a bunch of footwork for this final stock. Grounded gameplay going to be in favor of Kaito.
A lot of sword gameplay from Kaito. Yeah, it's just been mainly the Katars doing all that work so far. I know Rayzigher we've seen mostly with the blasters in hand, only picking up the bow once or twice to get a knockout. But it seems like Kaito is being forced to play the sword here finally, and he's finding some okay hits, nothing too promising, nothing too scary. But he's not opting to throw it out. He's not worried about it. It's not like I need to get Katars in my hand. I'm good to play both my weapons here is what we're seeing.
He's been really good about control well. Was pretty good about controlling how Rayzigher would conduct themselves in the air. The Katars were great for that early damage and, of course, that first stock, but the sword at the very end was starting to find at least a little bit more conditioning. But Ray was there at the very end to find the hidden strike. And that's game number 1. It went by like lightning. And I'm really curious to see if we're going to go back to a new stage in game number 2.
They're sitting at the bands here, and
Kaito's really taking his time. Oh, I'm sorry. Kaito was taking their time, and Ray already knew what they wanted.
That was a very interesting way to close out that game. Now, for the most part, when you see the Diana go for a downlight recovery early, you're gonna have to be wary of the NC, because that's really the only thing else that can follow up right there. That's why people don't really go for downlight recovery early. It doesn't give you many follow-up options. It just depends on the character. Diana is that one character where it's like, okay, I can actually do this, and he actually hits it right on the top part of the hitbox to spike straight up and takes an early game for himself there, right there that took the recovery. He's going down to confirm it with the downers, and it is confirmed. Very good offstage interaction off that Diana NC there. And that's another thing
Holy moly.
Diana's good. Diana as a character just creates so many opportunities with the signatures just off of light attacks, and it's so good.
They just flow into each other so well. And Kaito's kind of on that back heel right now. He's looking for a way to get in onto Rayzigher, disrupt these combos, especially before a signature comes out. And having these premeditated attacks, the side airs are working out at least a little bit effectively. The Rayzigher just keeps catching Kaito out with these nairs, and he doesn't have much of a response. Kaito has to remove this first stock right now. He does get rid of Rayzigher's guns, left weaponless, doesn't want them to get the bow, but it will be the guns, it will be the blasters once again. That being said though, Ray is just looking to rack up damage right now. Getting that second stock is going to be a good benefit, but it's not going to happen. Kaito, deep mustardy yellow, needs to make sure that they can even up at the very least damage right now before Ray gets started with those blasters again.
Now, just light taps with the bow here. This is, I can say this is like the first time we're seeing him play a prolonged amount of bow gameplay, right? We've seen the bow come out multiple times before, but it's usually just like a nice little cheeky downlight end sig to get the play off. As I say that, the blasters will be picked up and a side sig will confirm that stock. And Rayzigher has a lot to work with here. He's playing confidently and peacefully on the second stock.
Ray's got that advantage again. It really felt like that first game was more so Ray just kind of downloading Kaito, because again, relatively newer player, may not have faced them as much. There isn't like a mental game plan about how to face an Azuri like this. It's more so just kind of experimenting. What does Kaito want to do? How does he react to my blasters? Should I use the bow? Should I not use the bow? A lot of questions needed to be answered in game number 1, and it seems like now Ray has a pretty good game plan going into the rest of this set. And Kaito, because of that, well, besides that great neutral sig, is forced to play a little bit more reactively.
Now, that was a beautiful set for that neutral sig there. We saw 2 diners come off that platform, just controlling the area, keeping the high and low pressure, and then the weapon throw stuns him for just enough time to line up the end sig. And now, the Katars in hand, we're seeing another position of a flip, right, where Ray had the lead, played it really well, but now Kaito is the one with the damage lead here, adding up just a bit more with these guitars. That satellite endlight's gonna be hit, picks up another pair of brand new guitars, and that's actually good as well because, well, I mean, he threw them away, but if he just kept building damage with them, he'd be able to prime a next weapon to be a sword and start looking for those KO options.
Yeah, this was really good. Kaito was able to find so much damage on this last stock against Ray by just camping the weapons and making sure to starve them out. The big problem now is that Rayzigher has the bow, and it's been very rarely seen. Now Kaito's in the boat to try to figure out, okay, well, how do I get past this bow? What do I do? And Rayzigher's found so much effectiveness keeping Kaito in the air. The ground pound attempt, but because Lions slammed it at the bottom, it was a quick down air straight down to the blast zone.
Such an aggressive option, and the truth is that's just what you expect from South America at that point. You just expect them to go for that Hail Mary, all or nothing ground pound, but just a second too late. It feels like he second guessed himself, whether it was a second guess or maybe he just wanted to go back onto the stage and then come back later with it, but it just gave Rayzigher too much time to touch the wall and then back up. Now, we saw a lot of work be done on the guitars, we can't lie, but they've been abandoned, put aside for the gauntlets. Val coming through with that force stance, so he's not playing too much catch up with the damage, and the Diana, the Laura Croft, is still going to be what's locked in on Rayzigher's.
So if we're swapping away from Azuri's guitars over to the gauntlets, what can we expect to see coming out from Val or Kaito's Val to change up in terms of gameplay? Is the damage output going to be better?
I mean, it just completely depends, right? We see a lot of guitars just going for sidelight nair and sidelight endlight and not finding too much extra value on top of it. But that's just because there is a lot of value in that combo alone. It just sets up so much and allows you to have pressure to just even do another one. You can get a sidelight endlight and they have to reset and respect it, and you catch landing with another sidelight endlight. With the gauntlets, you have to get reads. It's not going to be able to just like you're not going to be able to bench on just getting those like little downlight sidelights and then nothing after, right? Because you need your strings to get you to do the damage compared to guitars.
But I feel like that's going to be a little bit more difficult for Kaito on Val now, because if you have to go for those hard reads against Ray, it's going to be tough. Ray has been really, really good about mixing up their setups with the blasters and keeping Kaito on their toes as Azuri. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit more tough to find that value with the gauntlets if Ray just keeps going grounded or in the air or just going for these seemingly random side airs that catches out Kaito.
It's definitely going to be a process, especially with a player playing as confident as Ray. Ooh, we're limited on options there. Okay, we are going to be able to get recovery back up, and some pressure off stage, but everyone's gonna come back to the map, back to playing neutral here, both in the red. And I feel like this first stock, I want to say it's gonna be impactful, but I also just have a hunch that a person's gonna take a stock here, come back, and then we're gonna see the next stock taken immediately and back to recovery is gonna finally close that one off.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think if Ray got the first stock, I think there would have been a great argument that Ray would have been able to like rack up a lot of damage against Kaito's second stock. But I think now that Ray is the first one to go down, he'll be able to change things up just enough to make this an even game once again. Especially off stage though. Recovery's out. Yeah. No damage at all against Ray.
Literally just a bit of neutral play, a side air, a recovery without getting hit at all, and the game is once again even. But here it is. Here's the gauntlets we're talking about, and so far we've seen a sidelight into nothing and a sidelight into the nair, but no more. And that's what we can't afford. You can see how much damage that's done. That's like 4 hits, like I've name dropped, and it's only into that light yellow. The blasters, on the other hand, are tagging him multiple times, and the game is just not going in his favor with these gauntlets as long as you're not getting these big strings.
Yeah, just the startup time for these gauntlets is gonna be a little too much. Ray has been pivoting out of everything, just not even going for these punishes, just praying instead for spacing and just to play for safety. And for Kaito, that's so difficult. He's trying to get full stage control. He has 2 floating platforms to work with here with that sword. But even then, these nairs are not being caught out by Ray whatsoever. Ray is just waiting for Kaito to go into his grasp and try to catch him off guard with these ground pounds.
Beautiful.
But suddenly, off stage, Ray has no chance of recovery. Kaito takes the lead back.
Now we saw Ray go for an option that kind of matched Kaito's at the end of last game, just kind of that Hail Mary, I'm coming at you ground pound, and it gets punished with the side air. It's not going to spike you straight down, but Kaito knows that. He opts to stay on the wall, prepare for the coming back, and gets that GC down like to get it confirmed, and it was absolutely beautiful work. Now, Kaito is the one that's playing forward here, playing the second stock out as long as he possibly can, because he knows Ray has to get more damage. It's not just about the KO option here. He's gonna have to find maybe 1, 2, 3 hits before he can do anything too risky.
Easier said than done, though. Kaito still playing for that full weapon control on stage. Ray biding their time, waiting for that next weapon to drop into the bow. Bow could be great for off stage, especially now. Oh, interesting
really
interaction.
risky.
Good ground pound. It was risky. But with Ray, you have to be risky here. You're already so heavily damaged on this final stock. But there is that buffer room too, Remy. Ray has been able to win out those last 2 games, and now Kaito, if they can get this third one, we're guaranteed at least a few more games in this set.
Kaito wants to send this to game 4, and that downlight stare is going to put icing on the kick that on arm side air, sends him even further, and there's just nothing that can be done. The downlight, the follow-up's not there, and that's gonna give Ray a little more hope. But is it going to be enough when every single thing that can connect to you will knock you out at this point? Even the gauntlet, and which has been nerfed, lowered in force, might just be seeing a knockout at this point. Downlight recovery is going to add on some damage for Ray, but it's not going to be enough. You need more than just some damage. You need stocks worth of damage, and Kaito, with the weapon thrown to the recovery, is going to confirm himself at game 4.
Yeah, and we were or at least I was a little unsure about the Val pick in the beginning, but it turns out to be really, really effective. It kind of keeps Ray a little bit more at bay. The offstage play that Ray was able to find some effectiveness in game number 2 was not the same as we had seen in game number 3. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ray switch things up going into this 4th game and maybe play a little bit more aggressively offstage. Not even just playing for neutral, but just straight up opting to bait Kaito into offstage with that bow rather than just play blasters most of the time.
Now, the Val pick did work, but it was mostly off the back of that sword, which really gives me an interesting question, an interesting view of why did we have to switch, right? And I'm not saying that don't switch because we just got the win off, but we're playing mostly that sword here. As you can see, he opts to throw away the gauntlets again, but he's also not using a lot of 6. If we go look at the stats for last game, and look at Kaito's signature count, we only saw 2, and I can't exactly tell you I remember where they were. I think they might have honestly been on arm 6. So we're not seeing too many 6 come out of the Val. Maybe it's just the slight bit of movement speed. I don't remember if it's like too much higher than a Suri's, and then just the defense, and that's what he wants to play off of, because right now it's working. He has the lead in this game, and a nice downlight Sarah, maybe downlight recovery, will take it for him. Downlight recovery, it's going to take that first off, like I was saying.
Yeah, really good stock takedown coming up from Kaito there. We did get to see one signature a little bit earlier, and it was from the side sig off stage. So I think maybe even with just the sword, if Ray does want to opt to play a little bit more off stage, it's just a good tool to have in your back pocket. It almost guarantees you the ledge guard into an effective punish. But the problem is, though, is that Ray hasn't really opted to go off stage too much. Only with the bow, and even then, just a little too far out of range for Kaito to find any sort of effectiveness, kind of guiding that signature off the ledge. But there we go. Ray, gravity cancel downlight, able to get back onto the stage. A great slide and dash back over. It's about picking up those blasters once again, catching Kaito off into the recovery, sending them back down into neutral. It's Ray looking for those startups once again. The down air not effective. Kaito remains inside the air, and it just has not been able to find that punishing hit. Both players spot dodging at the perfect times and pivoting out of the way, trying to preserve the stocks and damage they have. But never mind!
Ooh, very beautiful. Now, another thing that I've been noticing from Kaito off stage is that when Ray goes for like an aggressive option, like maybe a slide charge sig off the edge, Kaito goes for the maximum punish option rather than just like something easy and confirmed, right? A lot of players, if someone slide charges sigs above you, you're gonna go for that neutral and try to push them back up. He just opts out to go for the ground pound like multiple times now, and that one will give you the most damage and set you up for down air. But it's also the highest startup frame, and you have to reposition yourself, so it's going to be the hardest hit. We've seen him miss it twice now, and Ray, as I'm saying that, in the neutral, is able to even up this game somewhat. Downlight Sarah is going to be very good from Kaito, sending him off stage, applying pressure. The pivot and sig not going to connect, but is going to push Ray towards the center stage.
Kaito is scary off stage if he's not near the blast zone. He was effectively waiting for the side air everywhere. He was sharking out Ray at any possible moment. The side air comes underway, sends Kaito off stage. Ray does not play off stage with blasters too often, but the side air might be enough to confirm the second sig, but no, wasn't there for the ground pound whatsoever. Had to play for safety instead. Kaito had plenty of opportunities to go for the reversal and take down that stock, but instead the bow saves the day. Ray once again.
Stocks push to their upper limit here in damage. Downlight recovery is finally going to get that knockout, and the blasters are picked up. One down air hits, trying to find the neutral air after, can't, and the sword recovery is instantly going to keep the game even, keep the game competitive. Kaito, he's on tournament stock here. It's going to be very detrimental for him to go out here without putting up a fight, and he wants that game 5. He can smell that game 5 coming. One hit, tags on, and a hit is instantly tagged back.
Yeah, but look at this unending pressure coming up from Rayzigher. Making sure with the down airs and the effectiveness of the downlight to make sure Kaito has no safe area of entry, even off of a punish. The bow is out. These constant switch-ups are going to keep Kaito at bay. A ground pound suddenly coming out of nowhere on the ledge. It's going to keep Kaito still on the ledge. He doesn't have many options. He was able to get back onto the stage, but he goes immediately back and pivots to offstage. He baits out the neutral sig. Will it be enough? The recovery's into the air. Both these players are looking for nairs and trying to gain the ground. But the ground pound doesn't come out from Ray. The bow instead. Kaito, playing for safety, has to keep themselves in the air, looking for a great place to land down, play back for the grounded game. Ray is just punishing over and over and over again, looking for these pivots, jumping around, each player trying to catch each other out, but each one is playing for safety instead. Red to red.
That jump just slightly off. Very risky option. It's not going to be the end of his game, but it is going to be very hard for him to get a weapon now. Down sig is another risky option. Both players. Ray not rushing to get that weapon. Both players disarming themselves, and the weapon spawns right above him, giving him just a bit of comfort.
Ray wants to go for the recovery.
They're spacing each other out right now. The N-Sig is such an aggressive option there. The punish isn't there, but the punish will be there for that downlight. And Kaito is going to bring us all the way to a game 5. Like I was mentioning, semi-new player. We're not seeing any tournament placement before this year started, and the Asuri is going to be locked in. He doesn't want to play the Diana anymore, and I think Kaito is looking to see if he can also switch back to the Asuri. Now, the way this works is if you end up winning your last game, you have to lock in first, but Rayzigher is just going to let him switch off if he wants. He says he doesn't mind, so they're going to both be on the Asuri going into this next game.
Double Asuri. I mean, we've seen how the sword is operated by Kaito. We've seen the Katars and we've seen the gauntlets. But for Rayzigher, these are both entirely brand new weapons. I mean, when you already have 4 games of prep under knowing how this enemy player plays, do you think Rayzigher has a chance to take this game back?
I mean, Rayzigher was originally an Asuri player, right? And when I tell you that all of South America has an Asuri, I am just not lying to you, right? So,
yeah.
If we look at Rayzigher's tournament reporting history here, we do have 9 reports on the Diana, but we have 8 reports on the Asuri. So this is like just the backup pick. It's just there. It's ready to be revved up and played. As of right now, though, Kaito with this sword is keeping Rayzigher's Katars at bay. Now the game's not too far out of reach. It's not too far out of grab. But they're just kind of trading evenly right now. Kaito, with the aggressive option, is going to take the lead here. Down 6 going to get him punished with a couple 2 hits there on the NR.
Yeah. Really good conditioning against Kaito there for a little bit. Back to the sword, however, the recovery. High blast ceiling on Demon's going to mean the recovery's not going to be nearly as effective as other stages. It's not going to stop Kaito, though. Deep on red takes down Rayzigher. A great lead back over. A relatively unknown player compared to, like you said before, Remy, a veteran of the Brawlhalla space. On the losing foot right now in Game 5. Oh, jeez. Hands up to Kaito right now. All these pivots with that sword. Combo after combo. Just knocking away, chipping out that damage against Ray. Ray's having a hard time keeping up. The Katar's not nearly effective against this sword as he would have liked. It's just a matter now of finding that effectiveness. Trying to have that proper footwork. A sudden down sig is going to be good to remove Kaito from the stage. Attempted ledge guard will be there. Not going to find the dare just in time, though. Does find the recovery after Kaito jumps. Not once, but not twice. There it is, the nair. And now Kaito's without a weapon. Picks up and starves out Kaito once more. Now both players completely disarmed. Weapon starves Kaito once more and keeps him at the ledge. A ground pound and even up the stocks, but the damage! That's the big concern right now.
Now, I was going to say, I think if Rayzigher got that stock there, it would be possible for him to even it up to soft damage, but he has to play smart. It is Katar Dittos. You just have to be the one to take that back foot here and try to go for the reads, and it's somewhat working here. You can see Kaito trying to force neutral interactions a lot with these weapon throws. Just needs to be careful, and hits like these at this point don't matter anymore. It's just damage being packed onto you when it's not a KO, right? If you don't find a KO at this point, you're fine. So just keep fighting back for the stage, and he's doing it so perfectly. The recovery is finally going to take him out, but he's able to tag on damage to where his opponent's in the orange. That leaves it playable for him. He just needs to find the stop.
Be so tough. This is tournament stock right now for Rayzigher. 1 more left. And Kaito does have a small amount of buffer room, but not a whole lot. Rayzigher's fishing for those nairs and recoveries, looking for any opportunity to send Kaito away as soon as possible without taking any damage. With a side sig, it doesn't connect. A spot dodge from Kaito doesn't lead to much. More punishes from Rayzigher, but now the Katars are back, but it's too late.
It's so
Final stock
insane
now.
That even at that point in the game in that red, we're still going for downlight there, just showing how badly he wants to confirm just off that recovery combo. But he wasn't able to get it. At the end, he does find the recovery without taking too much damage, and the game is even.
The sword fight right now, a fencing duel. Weapon star from Kaito,
Side
making sure Ray
sig.
cannot get those Katars. The side sig is out. Kaito with the
And the
sider. There's
confirm.
no chance of getting back on, and it's Kaito to move forwards.
That set went down to the wire. Game 5, the double Asuri comes out, and they just play it out. They just play it out, and it's GG's all around the board. I mean, that's a South American.